Home offices reportedly consider paying TikTok influencers thousands of pounds to publish new immigration laws, including the threat of deportation to Rwanda, to discourage those thinking of crossing the channel in small boats.
So these new plans follow additional deterrent campaigns that have been used in Albania, France and Belgium over the last 3 years. But is social media the best and most effective way to stop the boats? Well, joining us to debate this now is author Femi Nylander and former government advisor Charlie Rowley. So, Femi, what do you think about this? You're a young person. You know how people are influenced by TikTok. And there's already, isn't there, traffickers, for instance, use social media a lot to encourage people to, you know, take dangerous routes that we know we all want to discourage. So what's wrong with this as an idea?
Well, I was very interested when I got a call yesterday asking to come on, because 2 days ago, actually, I self-published a book on Amazon on this very topic called Seeking Refuge 2060. I mean, you can download it for free later today if you want. And in the book, the main character meets a smuggler. And the thing the smuggler says to him is he says, "Take the journey sea right to Germany. Make your new home in Paris or Rome. Hire a fleet to take you to Greece. As long as you pay, you get to UK." Now, what's he doing there? He's presenting an advert. And where do adverts exist? They exist in economic markets. This is an economic market, basically. We have supply and demand. And the reality is that in the economic market for migration, the demand is the ultimate driver. The supply, it's not that the smugglers are bringing people in and forcing them. We have people demanding it, and because of that demand, there is a supply, because a supply always comes in to fill a demand. Now, why is there a demand? Well, I want you to go forward. The book goes forward to the year 2060. I want you to go forward only 5 years into the future. Let's say we're in the year 2030.
Are you going to mention TikTok?
I'm going to mention TikTok.
Okay.
I'm going to mention TikTok. If you are, for example, in the year 2030, a Palestinian refugee living in the Sinai Desert with no water, no food, no family, your family's been bombed and are dead, are you going to be dissuaded from trying to make the journey to Europe by a social media influencer?
Of course you're not. And it's one of a series.
Don't go.
Oh, it's one of a series of things. So look, Charlie, the case that Femi's outlined, you know, a simple TikTok video isn't going to turn around that economic demand and that economic market that's driving people to want to travel and leave the circumstances that they don't want to be in. Is this at all useful to have TikTokers putting a different case out into social media?
Oh, well, you're absolutely right. On its own, it's not going to stop the problem. But the fact is, as you rightly highlighted, Kate, is that it is people smugglers, those criminal gangs that are exploiting people, that are presenting a false hope, a false dream, a false life. If you sign up, if you pay thousands of pounds to get on a small boat crossing to come to the UK, it is a pipe dream that is being peddled by these criminal gangs on social media. So I think it's absolutely right, therefore, when you've got criminal gangs that are using TikTok and Instagram to pull, as I say, to present a false life and a false choice to people who want to come into the UK, it is only right, therefore, that the Home Office is looking at using the same means to counter that disinformation in a way in which would appeal to, whether it's young people or people who are thinking about taking up that crossing. It's right that it is matched.
I mean, maybe there's an argument to that, isn't there? Because, you know, the government can put out all the information it wants, but people are going to listen to different voices, aren't they, on social media, well, again, especially young people.
The ways to deal with migration are to deal with the root causes of migration, which are the mass inequality between countries in the world that is a legacy of this country and Europe's colonial past, and also the fact that there are plenty of conflicts going on in the world, which we have our own involvement in. I mean, I say this in... I'll leave you with some well, not necessarily leave you, but I'll give you some interesting words about waves of migration. The waves cannot be ruled. The waves, they wash away and start anew. The graves remain. One cannot wash a tomb. The ways we whitewash history cannot stop the waves from breaking. The waves of colour grew. The floodgates of Calais cannot remain. We'll pave another route to you. These people are fleeing war. They're fleeing climate change. Well, they're fleeing... and they're fleeing to a place where that is wealthy because of its own history with their countries. They don't think about the legal implications of a country which dominated and took from them.
There are two things here. Obviously, people who are fleeing persecution and conflict who want to come into the UK, of course we have a series of measures in place, whether it's Hong Kong, whether it's Syria, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's Ukraine. You know, people of this country opened their hearts and their homes to people that were fleeing those kinds of conflicts. There are also a number of other people that are coming into the country who are economic migrants that are taking that crossing illegally, which is why, when it comes to certain countries like Albania, for example, it is just a plain and simple fact. There's been a 90% return rate from people that are coming into the country from Albania that don't have a legitimate claim to be here. We are a generous nation. We do, as a UK, open ourselves up to support people that are fleeing that conflict. But where it is not right, and where it is not fair, there has to be a way to prevent people making that crossing in the first place through TikTok as one means of it.
Can we talk about this actual, you know, the method? I mean, so important wider issues about how we control migration, but of course we don't have open borders. On the issue of TikTok and social influencers, we know there have been good campaigns around persuading people to get vaccinations, the Made in Chelsea stars. We know that Love Island contestant Sharon Gafka did a good campaign about drink spiking and awareness. A friend of mine, Fern McCann, who was on Made in Essex, does some brilliant work around persuading people to breastfeed. Amazing pictures. I don't think she's being paid for that, I don't know. But it's brilliant social influencing. How can paying influencers, in this case, work to persuade people? You know, is it a good method?
Well, I think in the same way that, you know, as you rightly say, you've got a number of celebrities that will sign up to social justice causes or to support charities or to highlight, you know, causes that I think the nation needs to be aware of. That is a good thing.
What would they be saying in this case, then? What would they say to influence people?
Well, we're not asking, you know, Gemma Collins or Christopher Biggins to sign up to this sort of policy. I don't think that will necessarily
It's an Albanian influence.
It will be exactly so. It would be people who
What would they say?
Oh, well, it'll be people that are relevant to the particular country who are, where there is a lot of people that are thinking about coming over. To make it absolutely clear, what they'll be saying it is to anybody who's thinking about making that boat crossing, where you've been peddled a lie by a criminal gang to say that you can just come into the UK, you will have a better life, you will have free housing, care, all the rest of it. It will be people very clearly saying, don't make that crossing, don't put your life at risk, because it is clearly something...
What's wrong with that, Femi?
Well, the reality is, again, we can't let go of the economic aspect here. To do with the TikTok, to do with the influence. I'm addressing the particular point.
This debate
I'm addressing his... I'm addressing the point of the
whole economic...
Let me talk about the influences within... Before the show, you said, why is the budget so small for this? Because of the fact that you can, in smaller countries, in poorer countries, pay an influencer who's not that rich, who's coming from somewhere like Nigeria, pay them to tell people from their country not to cross the Mediterranean because they'll get deported to Rwanda.
Hang on. No, we're not saying that.
There's something sinister here.
Sorry, Femi.
Well, the article in the Times says that the TikTok video is going to mention the Rwanda policy.
Just engage on the debate.
Your points are really, really strong. But just on this point, what is wrong with somebody saying this is high risk, you might lose your life? Somebody who the community in whichever country
or you're being exploited by a criminal gang.
Well, and you're being exploited. What is wrong with them saying that?
The article mentions that these videos are going to include the Rwanda policy. So it's not just them saying you're being exploited by a criminal gang. It's saying it's paying people in developing countries to say if you come here, we're going to export you to Rwanda.
What is wrong with the
That's what it says in the article in the Times. You read the article.
What it would do?
It says it's going to mention the Rwanda policy.
What it absolutely would do.
Femi.
Smugglers are service providers.
Look, I understand.
They're not people traffickers.
The wider
There's a distinction between smugglers and traffickers.
The question is, can you answer a specific question?
Yes.
If an influencer is paid in Albania to say to people, don't be ripped off by a criminal gang who will steal your money or put you in danger, is that a bad thing for the government to pay for?
But the thing is, these are people smugglers. They're providing their service. They're not traffickers. They're not traffickers, right? There's a distinction between smugglers and traffickers. Okay. Human traffickers take people against their will. Smugglers.
These are criminal gangs. These are people who
smugglers. They're working in an illicit market, but there's a demand for this product.
You don't really answer any questions. That's the trouble here.
No,
it's very hard to get you actually...
No, because you're
we're having a debate on a particular... No, I'm not.
Really
We're having a debate on a
You're saying that
particular...
these are criminal gangs.
They are.
They are. These are people that are engaging in criminal
people who are offering a
activity.
service to
These
people.
are people. These are criminal gangs. They are well known about. They are people that exploit.
And is it not criminal for our country to disregard international law and send people to Rwanda against international law?
It is unfair. It is illegal.
That's part of the... That's part of the... Read the article, Ed.
I have read the article.
That the Rwanda policy is going to be involved in these videos. So why are we not talking about that? Why are your questions not addressing that?
But just to be absolutely clear and factual about this, the only way in which the Rwanda policy would be included in those videos is making it clear to people the facts that if you come into this country illegally, A, don't do it because of the perilous journey. You'll be putting your own life at risk. But if you do come into this country illegally, the Rwanda policy, it is a flagship government policy. That is just a statement of fact. It is a statement of, well, it is currently a statement of fact that it is a flagship government policy. If you do take that journey, if you pay that criminal gang, if you come into the country illegally, you will be at risk of going to Rwanda.
And we know you don't like the policy, Femi,
and that is what the policy, and that's what the social media influencing is.
Well, we have to...
I think we keep asking you, and you don't answer.
It's bad to exploit social media influencers in poor countries to basically
not
try
if it is going
and...
to prevent...
Let's give a chance, both of you, thank you. But let's see what... Because we've been asking people at home their thoughts, and we asked you if you thought influencers should be used to stop small boats. Now, 17% of you said yes, but 83% of you said no. So most people, like Femi, think this is not a good idea, or it is not the right use of the money, certainly. Good to speak to both of you.
Well, I hope I've changed the dial in some way.